story my own dad once told me about a house we used to live in. He kept it to himself for a long time because he didn't want to scare my mum into making us move. Back when my sister was about 7 years old, she'd sleep in my parents' bed, but one night my dad woke up in the middle of the night to see something strange. He saw a girl that looked similar to my sister, a bit younger than her, standing next to my mother's sleeping body, staring down at her, looking extremely sad. My dad called her name, but she didn't respond, and that's when my dad realized it wasn't her. She ran out the room. He gave chase, but she vanished into the hallways. He checked on my sister, but she was still asleep. He swore to his dying day that she looked exactly like another daughter of his might look, staring down at my mother for who knows what reason. A girl living with her grandmother and auntie, when they heard strange noises coming from inside the walls at night. Figuring they might be rats, her grandma moved some furniture that had come with the building, only to find a suspicious piece of plywood which, when torn off, revealed a tiny child-sized door. Inside the door was a hallway, and at the end of the hallway, a room filled with dust and a single chair in the center. All along the wall were 3-fingered gouge marks as if a monster had torn the place up, and the marks were fresh, no dust on them at all. They resealed the door and never went back inside. This father is going through a divorce, and in the meantime he stays with his own mother, who claims the house is haunted by the shadow of a girl walking from room to room. Since he and his wife share custody of his daughter, some weeks she stays with her mother, and others her father. One particular week, in the middle of the night, the father is on the computer. Out of the corner of his eye he catches his daughter sneaking into the kitchen, where she stops dead and stares at him for a few minutes, but he doesn't look at her since he figured she'd just go back to bed. Which she did, and when he checked on her a while later, he realized with a sick feeling in his gut that her bed was empty. She had been staying at her mother's that week. This one father has a son aged about 4 or 5 called Hunter. When he gets bad dreams, he'll climb into his parents' bed. One particular night the father hears his son calling from the next room, only, he doesn't say, "Dad," he calls him by his full name. When the father goes to check on Hunter, asking what's up, he finds Hunter asleep, and when roused Hunter merely says, "Dad," when they call you you're not supposed to answer. The next morning, Hunter doesn't remember anything that happened. A shadow that seems to follow this one guy. It first appears as a hot static in the room, followed by a smell of cat piss, and finally, a black shape in the corner of his bedroom staring up at him. He falls asleep the next night and hears a metal squeak noise, only to wake up and find a chair next to his bed, as if something had been watching him all night. One night when he went out for a smoke, he heard footsteps and a black shadow approach him, to which he pulled out a knife and watched it vanish. Eventually he screamed for it to go away, and it did. When he talked to his brother about it, he confirmed that he too had been visited by the shadow, which paralyzed him with a stare.